Picture this scenario. You are walking past a gleaming storefront. Your old phone feels heavy and slow in your pocket, a relic of last year. The new model promises unmatched speed and instant status. Then you look at the hefty price tag. Then your eyes land on the golden ticket. 0% financing for 12 months. No interest, they promise. Completely free money. It feels like a gift, a financial loophole carved just for you, allowing you to bypass the pain of a massive lump sum payment without any perceived penalty. Your rational brain whispers that it is a large purchase that you could technically defer, but the sign screams free money and immediate gratification, demanding compliance. You calculate the monthly payment. It is tiny, negligible compared to your robust monthly income. Suddenly, the impossible purchase becomes mathematically inevitable and immediately accessible. My name is Robie, and I spend way too much time thinking about the invisible equations that govern modern decision-making, especially the ones that are hidden in plain sight, disguised as generosity. We are discussing the invisible hand that pulls the credit trigger. We are talking about the Jebakan Cicilan 0%, the psychological trap built on temporal myopia and corporate precision. The 0% promise is not a financial product in the classical sense. It is a psychological weapon designed to exploit a core cognitive malfunction, the present bias. The present bias means you overvalue immediate gratification and radically undervalue future costs, transforming a mere want into an urgent, immediate necessity that must be fulfilled now. This financing option successfully bypasses the cognitive friction associated with large, painful lump sum payments, replacing it with the perceived safety of tiny, manageable drips of debt. The illusion is simple. 0% interest is technically true, but it is hiding three massive structural costs that systematically drain your future financial strength, quietly and persistently. The first and most critical hidden levy is the opportunity cost. That capital, now enslaved to a rapidly depreciating asset, cannot be deployed for actual, significant wealth creation. You have effectively committed dead equity to a gadget that will be worth half its value long before you finish the final payment. That is a brutal mathematical fact of physics and finance. That dedicated stream of cash could have been invested immediately in a conservative index fund, earning real compounding returns, but instead it is paying down the cost of a temporary dopamine hit. We must analyze the unseen costs that accumulate outside of the interest column. These are the vampire costs, tiny withdrawals that do not feel painful now, but collectively kill your financial future slowly. The second cost is the necessary inflation inherent in the pricing structure. Retailers do not offer 0% financing out of benevolence or goodwill. They bake that financing cost into the sticker price. You are paying for the convenience of the credit provision. You are not receiving a genuine discount. You are subsidizing the bank and the retailer simultaneously through the inflated MSRP. If you walked in today and paid cash, you would possess maximum leverage to negotiate a 10 or 15% discount immediately. But 0% financing removes that leverage entirely and instantly. You lose the power of negotiation and the psychological satisfaction of paying in full, all for the dubious convenience of paying for yesterday's purchase tomorrow. The third cost, and perhaps the most dangerous systemically, is the slow creeping liquidity trap. Every fixed installment payment reduces your monthly liquid cash flow, subtly strangling your operational budget. While the individual monthly payment is small, it contributes to your overall debt-to-income ratio, making it objectively harder to qualify for productive debt, like a primary residential mortgage. It is the subtle accumulation of these small, fixed obligations that transforms a robust, liquid financial buffer into a fragile structure prone to rapid collapse under unexpected external stress. This installment purchase, designed to feel weightless and light, actually acts as a silent anchor, restricting your financial mobility and reducing your capacity to react positively to the unexpected. What happens when your necessary vehicle breaks down or an emergency medical expense suddenly arises? Your installment obligations remain fixed, rigid, demanding immediate payment regardless of circumstance. The true cost of the 0% deal is the financial optionality that you willingly surrender the moment you sign the contract and commit future earnings to present, fleeting whims of consumerism.
We are not just calculating simple interest rates here. We are calculating the cost of complexity and the exponential return that you systematically sacrificed for immediate temporal convenience.
The system is structurally rigged by design, utilizing advanced behavioral economics to ensure consumer compliance and maximize sales volume through engineered cognitive ease and reduced friction.
The retailer is not fundamentally selling you a product. They are expertly selling you a mechanism for paying. They want you focused on the payment mechanism, not the intrinsic long-term value.
The banking industry profits immensely not just from the transactional fees they charge the retailer, but crucially from the statistical probability of predictable consumer failure and forgetfulness.
What happens if you miss a single payment on your 0% financing agreement due to vacation, distraction, or unforeseen circumstances? The fine print is a pre-planted ambush. The interest rate immediately reverts. It drastically skyrockets, often retroactively applied to the entire original purchase price, turning the tempting 0% into a punishing 29% overnight. This high-speed, retroactive interest reversion is the bank's true and highly profitable center of gravity. It is not a random accident. It is the mathematical inevitability built into the core structure of the deal. They anticipate that a certain percentage of customers, distracted by life, burdened by complexity, or simply forgetful, will trip the meticulously placed wire and pay the enormous penalty fee.
This structural trap is why these deals are offered predominantly on high-margin, rapidly depreciating consumer goods, phones, massive televisions, furniture, and ephemeral luxury clothing. These are items that consumers want now, items that evoke a strong emotional, primal response, creating a psychological vulnerability that the financing option expertly and immediately exploits.
It is a classic liquidity trap leveraged against psychological weakness. The bank is betting heavily on your eventual lapse in financial discipline, and historically, statistically, they always win the bet.
They understand the principle of cognitive ease, making the financial choice so ridiculously frictionless and easy that you bypass the rigorous analysis required for any large capital purchase. The goal is to eliminate the pause, that necessary moment of reflection, where you might instinctively ask, do I truly need this, or am I merely chasing a fleeting dose of manufactured social status? The financing mechanism is a strategic tool of accelerated depreciation, ensuring the rapid transfer of high-value goods out of inventory and the systematic transfer of future wealth out of your pocket. This strategy is not new. It is an evolution of post-war credit expansion, modernized by big data and sophisticated behavioral nudges, but the core psychological mechanism remains ancient and reliable. The concept of aggressive consumer financing as a powerful psychological lever traces back to the early 20th century, where companies realized that installment payments, not sticker prices, drove sales volume. The invention of revolving credit formalized this systemic trap, guaranteeing a constant revenue stream derived from the consumer's fundamental inability to reconcile small, consistent payments with large, crushing sums. 0% financing is simply the latest, most aggressively marketed iteration of the credit card's core predatory function, normalizing the acquisition of non-essential, depreciating debt. It fundamentally lowers the cognitive threshold for entry into significant, long-term financial commitments. It teaches the brain that value is immediately available, regardless of actual current financial standing. Think about the destructive power of the Diderot effect, the psychological phenomenon where acquiring one new item triggers a cascading desire for subsequent, complementary acquisitions immediately. The new 0% financed phone requires a new case, new earbuds, new subscriptions, and suddenly the single installment transforms into a financial ecosystem of ongoing, self-perpetuating costs.
These are the hidden costs of convenience, the mathematical drag induced by surrendering financial discipline to the seductive marketing of instant, easy fulfillment and immediate access.
The retailers gain massive sales volume, The banks gain substantial fees and penalty interest, and the consumer gains a temporary glow of ownership followed by months of rigid, fixed obligations. The transaction is fundamentally asymmetrical, engineered meticulously to benefit the institutional players who flawlessly understand the power of compound interest and the weakness of human willpower.
Let us briefly quantify the lost opportunity cost precisely. Assume you finance a $2,000 consumer item at 0% over a 24-month period. The simple monthly payment is $83.33.
If instead of committing that $83.33 to a depreciating asset, you invested it monthly into a conservative, diversified index fund earning a historical 8% annually. After a measurable 10 years, your total out-of-pocket capital investment would be roughly $10,000, but the compounding returns would leave you with over $15,000 of actual wealth.
That $5,000 differential is the true measurable cost of the 0% financing trap, the wealth that evaporated due to misplaced financial commitment and the exploitation of present bias. It is the invisible equation that most consumers refuse to calculate, the cost of future wealth versus the immediate cost of present gratification. The math, unfortunately, is brutally unforgiving. We are not just discussing a simple loss of money. We're talking about the measurable loss of future freedom. Every dollar tied up in installment payments is a dollar that cannot fund your eventual financial independence. The key to successfully escaping the 0% trap lies in radically reversing the psychological equation and prioritizing future financial optionality over immediate, temporary comfort and status. First, adopt the principle of mandatory delay. When you see a tempting 0% offer, force yourself to wait a minimum of 30 days before initiating any purchase commitment. Often, the manufactured urgency dramatically dissipates. The want transforms back into a mere desire, and the emotional leverage the retailer held over you evaporates entirely and immediately. Second, calculate the verifiable cash discount. Before accepting the financing arrangement, call the store and directly ask what the price would be if you paid the entire sum immediately in cash or debit card.
The difference between the inflated financed price and the real cash price is your immediate, guaranteed return on financial discipline. Capture that arbitrage opportunity immediately. Third, utilize disciplined sinking funds instead of relying on external credit lines. If you truly need the expensive item, save the monthly installment amount into a high-yield savings account first. By diligently saving the payment before buying the item, you maintain total liquidity, you earn interest on your capital, and you delay gratification long enough to accurately confirm true necessity. When you successfully reach the full purchase price, you can buy the item outright, retaining financial control and avoiding the systemic risk of the retroactive interest clause ambush. This strategy successfully transforms the insidious vampire cost into productive capital accumulation, reversing the flow of wealth from the institution back into your own individual pocket. Understand that credit is a powerful, highly useful tool, but the 0% installment financing is almost always a restrictive leash disguised as a luxury, binding you to fixed future liabilities. Your primary goal should always be maximizing free capital and minimizing fixed financial commitments to rapidly depreciating assets. This is the solid cornerstone of sustainable financial architecture. We must collectively break the cycle of immediate consumption fueled by psychological debt triggers. We must prioritize building financial resilience over achieving temporary, fleeting social status. The most insidious component of the Jebakan Cicilan 0% is the false sense of financial intelligence it provides. You truly think you are cleverly beating the established system. You mistakenly believe you have gamed the complex financial matrix by securing free credit, when in reality, the matrix has successfully gamed you by securing your future cash flow commitment immediately. The true financial masters do not chase 0% financing deals. They seek the highest possible return on deployed capital, and that requires maximizing liquidity and absolute financial freedom. Remember, every installment is effectively a mortgage payment on a temporary pleasure,
restricting your ability to invest in assets that actually appreciate in value, like yourself or diversified index funds. This structural commitment to funding rapidly depreciating assets is the silent, pervasive killer of wealth accumulation for the global middle class, facilitated by the sweet poison of the 0% promise. It is the perfect psychological trap: maximum immediate pleasure coupled with minimum perceived future pain, resulting in a mathematically certain trajectory toward financial servitude and constrained liquidity. This is not just about avoiding simple debt. This is about establishing a high-level operating standard for your personal financial fortress, securing its long-term integrity and resilience against psychological attack. We need to treat every purchase over $500 as a serious capital allocation decision, rigorously weighing the opportunity cost against the actual immediate utility received from the purchase. Do not let the convenience of a tiny monthly payment blind you to the massive mathematical opportunity you are forfeiting daily to the illusion of free, easy money and convenient access.
The 0% trap is meticulously designed to encourage reckless consumption, to keep the economic engine churning through the systematic devaluation of your future time and hard-earned earnings.
If you found this analysis of vampire costs and the liquidity trap useful in designing your necessary financial defense against the invisible equations of pervasive consumerism and debt,
If you are ready to dismantle the psychological traps laid by sophisticated marketing departments and reclaim your financial optionality and intellectual sovereignty over your own decisions,
then you know exactly what the next logical step is. Stop thinking of debt as a viable solution and start treating liquidity and freedom as the premium asset they truly are in the modern economy. Subscribe for comprehensive financial sanity. Smash that like button to help this detailed analysis penetrate the algorithm that is constantly pushing easy credit and rapidly depreciating assets. Let us build a powerful community focused not on chasing risky 0% deals, but on achieving 100% financial autonomy and escaping the perpetual, exhausting credit treadmill forever and irrevocably.